everybody, it's Preppin' Mama. I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about lacto-fermenting vegetables because as it happens, I have a few beets that are getting a little too soft. And I have a large family, so 2 beets is really not enough to cook with for us, but it happens to be what I have left over from my co-op order. So I thought I would cut those up and get them ready to lacto-ferment on my counter for the next couple months. And the longer they ferment, the better they taste. Once you've got them all fermented, you put them in the fridge and eat them whenever you want. They're really good on salads. I'm just going to pop down and get the salt felt. The lacto-fermentation, a lot of people use dairy whey, but it's actually not necessary, and because we try to stay away from dairy as much as possible in our family, I will use extra salt. That's all you need to use is extra salt. Your salt that you use for lacto-fermenting and for making broth and kimchi needs to be non-iodized salt, and I prefer gray sea salt. You can use Himalayan salt. There are other salts out there that you can use, but I prefer this one. You can get it coarse ground or fine ground. I happen to get it coarse ground this time, so it took a little longer for me to dissolve it in the water, but that's okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut up these beets and put them in my pint jar. Really all you need to do ferments in your home is canning jar. With the regular lid that they come with, you can do that, but you do need to burp the jar a couple times a day. And what I mean by burping is you just open it up a little bit so you can release the gas and then close it up. You need to be on top of that where you can end up with an explosion in your kitchen that you really don't want. So instead of doing that, because I'm busy, I go ahead and use these little lids, and they come in a container like this, and they're waterless fermentation lids. Basically, you put the lid on the jar, you put the ring on, and there's a little hole at the top of this nipple, and it's self-burping. So that's pretty handy for me. You can also get lids that have the thing sticking up, the plastic thing sticking up that lets the gas out but doesn't let anything else in. Those are good too. They're hard to clean. I really like these. They're easy to clean. So let's go ahead and get started. I started cutting up my beets already. You do not need to peel your beets. Actually, it's probably better that you leave the peels on because that's where all the good bacteria is. I'm just giving up on that. That's where the good bacteria is that you want to help ferment your food. So in this case, you don't need to peel. And I use golden beets because I just do not enjoy working with red beets. I don't like how they stain my hands for days, and I don't really care for other things about them. So I buy golden beets, and beets, I know a lot of you are probably looking at me like, I don't like beets, they taste like dirt. But honestly, they're an excellent root vegetable to grow, to have in your preps, to can. They're really good for your liver. Beets have so many health qualities, and they're just really good for you in many different ways. So I would encourage you to put beet seed in your prep, plan to grow them. They keep well like other root vegetables, and they're just, they're very, they have a lot of properties. They're actually a superfood. The red ones are probably even more so, but like I said, I like the gold ones. And aren't they pretty? I mean, they're beautiful. And actually, the other day, I roasted a bunch with chicken, and everyone thought they were potatoes. So they wouldn't think that of the red ones, so you can get away with more, right? Okay, so I think that my salt is dissolved into my water. I have 2 cups of water and 2 teaspoons of gray salt. We're not going to probably use all of the water in this because 1 beet filled a pint jar, but we'll use whatever we need to. But that is your ratio for lacto-fermenting vegetables when you're not using whey, okay? So I'm going to go ahead. By the way, filtered water, either use your Berkey, get your filtered water from your fridge, find a way. City water, a lot of times has chlorine in it, and it's going to impede any kind of fermentation process. That is what you want. So are on a well, but I still used filtered water. So I'm going to fill this up past the level of the beets, and then I'm going to weigh it down. And so I have not been the best or successful at weights for my ferments. I end up a lot of times topping off my jars periodically while they're fermenting. But I found that my salt cellar lid is the perfect size to put in here for a weight. Now, if we have room for it, that would be awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few of these out. I think it's a little too full. I'm going to put this, I put it in a plastic bag. I'm going to set it on top, and then that will help to weigh the vegetables. You want them below the water level. So if you happen to check your ferments while they're still on the counter fermenting and they are floating on the top, you need to weigh them down because that will increase your chances of growing mold. Me putting my fingers in there did too, actually, but you know. So I'm going to weigh it down with this to make sure they stay below the water level. And of course, my mise en place is not quite right because I forgot my canning jar. So I'm going to. All right, that works. Okay, let me just step away and get my canning jar ring. Regular old canning jar ring. All right. Okay, that should do it. Now, I set it on the counter, and for beets, it can take, well, they're okay to eat in 2 weeks, but for a better flavor, up to 3 months apparently is, let me check on that. They will actually, if you've fermented them well, I think I meant 3 weeks, so 2 to 4 weeks. If you fermented them well, they will last 3 months in the refrigerator after you've fermented them. If you keep them close to around 32 degrees Fahrenheit in your fridge. So my fridge is 34, it's a constant 34 degrees, so these should last for 3 months for me in the fridge. I don't think they will, but I don't make these very often because really I'm the only one who likes beets in the family. I still hope, and I still do make them. But so look at that. How beautiful is that? And that just sits on your counter in a cool place. You want it to be between 55 and 70 degrees in there. So you don't want them next to your stove or your refrigerator, but these will ferment well. And usually, like with something like, if I was doing kraut, I only do that for a couple, like 3 or 4 days on the counter. So when you start to do this kind of work, you just start to learn how long to ferment the different vegetables that you enjoy and at what point in the fermentation process you prefer their flavor, okay? But I'm going to go ahead and put these aside for 2 weeks, and in a couple weeks we'll taste them and see how they taste, and then if I like the way they taste, I'm going to stick them in the fridge, and they'll last about 3 months in there. So the warmer your fridge, the less time they're good for. Okay, well that is it for that video today. I hope you learned something, and I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks for joining me. If you like this video, please hit the like, the thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos from me,